There are moments in life when the past doesn't knock, it kicks down the door. Noah Blackwell hadn't thought about Lila Monroe in 7 years. Or so he told himself. Every skyscraper he built, every boardroom he conquered, every empire he expanded, he told himself it was worth it, that he'd made the right choice, until the morning he walked into the Seaside Inn. The property was nothing special, a weathered coastal bed and breakfast clinging to a cliff overlooking the Pacific. Prime real estate trapped in nostalgia. His team had acquired it sight unseen, another teardown, another luxury development, another win. But when he stepped through those salt-worn doors, the air shifted. And there she was. Lila Monroe. Older now, quieter, hair longer, eyes guarded in a way they never used to be. She stood behind the front desk, with her hand frozen on a ledger, staring at him like she'd seen a ghost. He didn't recognize her. Not at first. She recognized him immediately. "I'm Noah Blackwell," he said, extending a hand. "I believe we have business to discuss." Her fingers trembled as she shook his hand. Brief, polite, cold. Lila Monroe. Owner. Her voice was steady, but something flickered beneath it, something buried. He felt it then. A strange familiarity, like déjà vu wrapped in static. But he dismissed it. He'd met thousands of people, built relationships with hundreds. This was business. "I'll be frank, Ms. Monroe. This property has charm, but it's not viable long-term. I'm prepared to offer you double the appraised value. We can have you relocated within 60 days. She looked at him for a long moment, and in that silence, something ancient passed between them, something neither acknowledged. "This inn has been in operation for 42 years, she said quietly. "It's not just a property, Mr. Blackwell. It's a home, to me, to the people who come here looking for one." He smiled, the smile that closed deals. "Everything has a price, Ms. Monroe." Her jaw tightened. "Not everything." That's when he should have walked away. But Noah Blackwell didn't walk away from anything. 7 years earlier, Noah Blackwell wasn't a billionaire. He was hungry, brilliant, and one deal away from everything he'd ever wanted. And he was in love. Lila Monroe was an artist then. Wild-hearted, fearless, the kind of woman who painted sunrises on apartment walls and danced in thunderstorms. She taught him how to breathe, how to see the world as something other than a battlefield. They met at a gallery opening. She was showcasing her work. He was there closing a client. But when their eyes met across that crowded room, the noise fell away. "Tell me something true," she'd said when he approached. He'd laughed. "That's a dangerous question." "I know." He'd looked at her, really looked, and said, "I'm terrified I'll never be enough." She'd smiled, soft, knowing. Then stopped trying to be enough for everyone else. It was the most honest thing anyone had ever said to him. They fell in love the way oceans fall into shorelines, inevitable, relentless, reshaping everything they touched. Now, standing in her inn, Noah felt that same pull. But he didn't know why. Over the following days, he returned. Again and again, negotiations, he told himself, strategy. But really, he just wanted to understand her. Lila was careful, professional. She never let him too close, but he noticed things. The way she tilted her head when she was thinking, the way she tucked her hair behind her left ear when she was nervous, the way she avoided looking him directly in the eyes, as though she was afraid he'd see something. "Why do you care so much about this place?" he asked one evening as rain battered the windows. She was silent for a long time. Then, "Because it's the only thing I've ever built that couldn't be taken from me." Something in her voice cracked. Just slightly, he wanted to ask more, but she turned away, disappearing into the kitchen, leaving him alone with a strange ache he didn't understand. 7 years ago, Noah was offered the deal of a lifetime, a partnership that would catapult him into the top tier of developers. It required everything, his time, his focus, his future. It also required him to move across the country, immediately. Lila had looked at him with those wide, hopeful eyes. "What about us?" "Come with me," he'd said, but even as he said it, he knew. He knew the hours he'd be working, the ruthlessness the industry demanded, the sacrifices required. "I can't just leave my life, Noah, my work, your paintings." He hadn't meant it to sound dismissive, but it did. Her face had gone pale. I'm building something, Lila. Something that will set us up forever. I need you to trust me. I do trust you, she whispered. I just don't know if you trust what we have. He should have stopped, should have held her, should have said the things that mattered. Instead, he said, I need to go, and I need to know you're with me. She'd looked at him for a long time, and then, voice breaking, I can't be second to your ambition, Noah. I won't survive it. He'd left the next morning. 3 days later, she was gone. No note, no explanation. Just gone. It happened during their 5th meeting. Noah was reviewing contracts when Lila brought him coffee, black, no sugar. Exactly how he took it. He frowned. I didn't tell you how I take my coffee. She froze, just for a heartbeat. Lucky guess. But he was watching her now, really watching. The way she moved through the inn, the way she spoke to guests, the cadence of her voice when she laughed. Rare, but God, when it happened. And then he saw it. A small scar on her wrist, shaped like a crescent moon. He'd kissed that scar 1,000 times. The coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattered against the hardwood. Lila. Her name left his lips like a prayer, a curse. She closed her eyes. Don't. It's you. You're Lila. My Lila. I'm not your anything. Her voice was steel and ash. Not anymore. Why didn't you tell me? His voice was raw, shaking. Would it have changed anything? She turned to face him, and for the first time he saw it. The pain she'd been hiding. You didn't recognize me, Noah. 7 years. And you didn't recognize me. You changed. No. You did. The words hit like a fist. Why did you leave? He demanded. I looked for you, for months. I hired investigators. I called everyone we knew. You just vanished. She laughed, bitter and broken. You want to know why I left? You really want to know? Yes, she took a breath, steadied herself. I was pregnant, Noah. The world stopped. I found out 2 days after you left, and I sat in that apartment, holding the test, knowing that if I told you you'd come back, you'd give up everything, and you'd resent me for it. Maybe not right away, but eventually. So I made a choice. He couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Where? His voice cracked. Where is? I lost her. Lila's voice was barely a whisper. I lost her at 12 weeks, alone, in a clinic 3 states away where no one knew my name. Noah felt his knees weaken. He reached for the desk, gripping it to stay upright. You should have told me. I made the only choice I could live with, she said. You got your empire. I got my grief. And we both survived. Lila, don't. Tears streaked her face now, but her voice remained steady. Don't make this about what you would have done. You chose. And I chose. And now we both have to live with it. He wanted to argue, to rage, to rewind time and rewrite every decision. But all he could say was, I never stopped loving you. She closed her eyes. That's the saddest part, Noah. Neither did I. They used to talk about building a home together. Not a house, a home. Somewhere by the ocean where they could hear the waves at night. What if we never make it big? She'd asked once, curled against his chest. Then we'll make it small, he'd said, as long as I'm with you. She'd kissed him then, soft, full of belief. Promise me something, she'd whispered. Anything. Promise me you'll never become the kind of man who forgets what matters. He'd promised. He'd broken that promise without even realizing it. Over the next 2 weeks, everything changed. Noah stopped pushing for the sale. Instead, he stayed. He helped repair the deck. He talked to the guests. He sat with Lila on the porch at sunset, both of them silent, both of them searching for words that didn't exist yet. Why did you buy this place? He asked one evening. She smiled faintly. Because it reminded me of the dream we used to have, a home by the ocean. I couldn't build it with you, so I built it anyway. His chest tightened. I'm sorry, he said, for everything, for not seeing you, for choosing wrong, for… Stop. Her hand found his, tentative, warm. I don't need apologies, Noah. I need to know if you've changed. If the man sitting next to me is the same one who left, or if he's someone different. He looked at her. I don't know who I am anymore. Then maybe it's time to figure it out. 3 days later, Lila showed him something she'd never shown anyone. A room on the third floor, locked, untouched. Inside, the walls were covered in paintings, dozens of them, seascapes, sunsets, portraits. And in the corner, a small wooden crib. "I painted this room after I lost her," Lila said quietly. "I needed somewhere to put all the love I had left. So I painted, every day. For 2 years." Noah's throat burned. "I named her, in my head." Her voice broke. "I called her Grace, because I thought maybe she'd give us grace, for all the mistakes we'd made." He turned to her, and for the first time in 7 years, Noah Blackwell let himself break. "I would have come back," he whispered. "If I'd known, I would have given up everything." "I know," she said. "That's why I didn't tell you." The board meeting was scheduled for the following Monday. The Seaside Inn project. Final approval, demolition scheduled for January. Noah stood at the head of the table, looking at the faces of men and women who'd followed him for years. "I'm withdrawing the project," he said. Silence. "This property will remain as is. We'll redirect resources to Noah." His CFO leaned forward. "This deal represents a $12 million return. You can't just—" "I can. And I am." "Why?" He thought of Lila, of the room full of paintings, of the daughter they'd never had, of the life he'd traded for glass towers and quarterly earnings. Because some things matter more than profit. They thought he was losing his mind. Maybe he was. But for the first time in 7 years, he felt like himself. That night, he found Lila on the beach. The wind whipped her hair around her face as she stared at the horizon. "I'm not tearing it down," he said. She turned, eyes wide. "I'm investing in it instead. Renovations, expansions, whatever you need. You keep full ownership. I'm just the silent partner who helps you build the dream we were supposed to build together." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Noah, I don't expect you to forgive me," he continued. "I don't expect anything. But I need you to know, you were right. I became the kind of man who forgot what mattered, and I don't want to be him anymore." She stepped closer. Her hand touched his face. "I don't need you to save me," she whispered. "I saved myself. But maybe we could build something new. Together. Not because we're trying to fix the past, but because we choose to." He kissed her then, slow, aching, full of everything they'd lost and everything they might still find. The Seaside Inn reopened in late spring, renovated but unchanged in spirit, a place where broken people came to find peace. Noah stepped away from half his companies. He learned to paint, badly, but Lila loved it anyway. They had breakfast on the porch every morning. They talked about Grace sometimes. It hurt less now, not because they'd forgotten, but because they'd learned to carry her memory together. "Do you regret it?" Lila asked one morning. "Giving up the empire?" Noah looked at her, at the woman who'd loved him when he was nothing, who'd survived losing everything, who'd chosen to let him back in. "I didn't give up an empire," he said. "I traded one for something real." She smiled. "Good answer." On their 1-year anniversary of reconnecting, Noah gave Lila an envelope. Inside was a deed. Not to the inn. She already owned that. To the land next door, 3 acres overlooking the ocean. "What is this?" she whispered. "I thought maybe we could build something there, a home, ours. For real this time. Not as who we were, as who we are now." Lila stared at the deed, at the future it represented. "No business plans?" she asked. "None. No exit strategy? Just us." She kissed him, and in that kiss was forgiveness, hope, beginning. "Yes," she said. "Let's build something that lasts." They broke ground that summer. The house took a year to build. Slowly, intentionally, with their own hands whenever possible. It wasn't grand, it wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. On the day they moved in, Lila hung a painting in the entryway. It showed 2 figures on a beach, holding hands, facing the horizon. At the bottom, in delicate script, she'd written, "Grace." Noah wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "You think she would have liked it here?" he asked softly. Lila leaned into him. "I think she brought us here." They stood there together as the sun set over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. Some love stories don't get happy endings, but sometimes, if you're brave enough to try again, to choose differently, to forgive the unforgivable, sometimes they get something better. They get real. Some things are worth more than empires.